Basketball fans, welcome into Canada's home for talking hoops. This is the Hangout, and the playoffs are rolling along, and thankfully the Toronto Raptors have found their form and are rolling along. So, I'm Akil Augustine, as you know. We got to introduce you to the rest of the cast of characters. My co-host for Raptors Post Up live on all road games for the Toronto Raptors, that's the well-dressed Randy Urban.
I'm sitting in Dan Gladman's spot, so.
Yeah, you're replacement, Dan. You need to make obscure rock and roll references.
Is my hair long enough?
Not even close. All right, one of our favorite contributors to the family. You know you're a big deal when you have your own logo on your jacket. Big up our James Harden specialist, Arizona State alumnus, my man, Antwi Atuhaney, but we call him Twee. What up, Twee?
Not much, man. Thanks for having me, man.
That's his logo, man.
Logo too.
Mine right here, palm tree.
That's a great logo, too. I love palm trees, too.
Yeah, he lives on vacation.
Appreciate it.
All right, okay. And another one of my partners in crime, the young lady that I kind of cut my teeth with in the 905 world, as she is play-by-play, and I sometimes am color. This is Megan McPeak. What up, Meg?
How you doing?
I'm good. You?
I'm good.
Thank you for not killing me. Last time you absolutely crushed my sneaker game with them white and red fours. You dumbed it down a bit, a little subdued.
A little bit,
Still
little bit.
Still fresh.
A little bit.
Those are dumbing it down?
A little bit. You crushed me last time. All right, let's jump into it, guys. 101-85, the final score for the Toronto Raptors. The bench played huge. So here's the question. Had the Toronto Raptors finally stopped waiting for Kyle and DeMar to get off and just decided, you know what, we got to move on with things? Twee, we'll start with you.
I think, for the most part, guys like DeMar Carroll and Corey Joseph really picked up their game and making plays. They're not sitting around waiting for DeMar and Kyle no more. They know it's a real time where they got a sense of urgency. So I feel like they're really pushing it forward.
Are we all in agreement, though, that there was kind of this vibe that everyone was trying to kind of doing everything they could to make sure Kyle and DeMar got off?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it helps when he starts 3 of 3 and has 12 points in the first quarter. Let's not underestimate what kind of effect that has on the rest of the team. You see your star player performing at the level that you know he's capable of, and then everyone else relaxes a little bit. They know they don't have to put so much pressure on themselves, like Corey, like Pat, to score on their own, like T. Ross. You need your stars to be your stars in the playoffs.
But, Megan, they did run out of gas to the point. I mean, DeMar, he had that strong start. The numbers look good at the end of the game, but it wasn't a traditional game from Kyle and DeMar, and the other guys really picked it up.
No, and the one area that, if you can pick one from that game that they need to do better at, is turning the ball over. All 3 games, they haven't been good at taking care of the ball. DeMar had a lot of times where he was forcing it a little too much.
For sure, early
even though
on,
he was getting things going and was having a better game than we saw in games 1 and 2. So I think if they can do a better job taking care of the ball, a lot of it's going to come way easier, and we're going to see them start to play the way we saw them at the beginning of the season and then the way they closed out the season, but the turnovers have to come down.
Okay, the NBA is all about big threes, right? The Toronto Raptors tried to build Kyle, DeMar, and then they added this new guy, DeMar Carroll. You guys familiar with him? He was absent for the majority of the season, but what he was advertised as came to light in Game 3 against Paul George. So are you comfortable with, the fact that, are you kind of happy that, he was gone for the year, but it kind of worked out in that game, Randy?
I think it would have been more ideal if he played a little sooner towards the end of the season or if he didn't get injured at all. But it's great to have him back. He makes an impact right off the bat. You saw in the very first possession, he was right up in Paul George's grill, like making it hard for him, forced him into a tough shot and a shot clock violation, I think it was, right off the top. I mean, he sets the tone for them defensively.
What was bigger for you? Because we know he can play that type of defense, but he wasn't hitting his shot, but he's a good finisher, Twee. That's something a lot of people don't know about him because he was on the break a lot.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that he brought to the table was making shots and finishing. Because I feel like during the process of the game, guys are missing a lot of easy shots, which puts more pressure on DeMar and Kyle. With DeMar out there making shots and finishing, opens up the team.
Spreading the floor.
Spreads the floor.
Sits in that corner, buries at 3. He hit 3 threes last night. I know he missed 6, but.
And he bails out DeMar by covering Paul George.
Right.
Yes.
Now DeMar has more energy on offense.
He has a lot more legs.
Legs.
The jump shot last night for DeMar looked way better than it did in games 1 and 2 because he had his legs, because he wasn't switching off on Paul George. And in games 1 and 2, we saw a lot. Frank Vogel had PG in a lot of pick and rolls, and they were switching it with whoever DeMar was guarding to get that guy as the screener. So DeMar was switching off onto him. And I think now that DeMar Carroll's back out there, they can switch back a lot faster because DeMar is so long that he allows DeMar to get the legs,
Buy him some time.
later in the game when he actually needs it, should they get into a close matchup.
Okay, great, man. We got that chemistry because you just perfectly segued to my next question. Adjustments. You talked about Coach Frank Vogel and the adjustment he made there. But this league is a league that's kind of moved towards small ball stretch fours, so on and so forth. Jonas Valanciunas has been by far the best Toronto Raptor, and he's a traditional 5 big man center. Are you surprised Coach Vogel hasn't tried to take him out of the game by maybe switching up the lineups?
I am, and I think we saw it when Miles Turner comes into the game. JV isn't the same type of player because Turner is such a aggressive, young, sort of type of player that he really doesn't have anything to lose and he just goes out and plays. So I think the fact we haven't seen him in the lineup more often against JV to disrupt what JV's been doing is surprising to me because Frank Vogel is so good at making adjustments on the fly. But at this point in the series, I don't know if they can come back and stop JV because he's got the rhythm.
You're only as good as the adjustments that you have, though. And if Miles Turner is your only adjustment, then,
yeah, he is.
No disrespect, he's going to be a phenomenal player, but
easy.
he's getting his head getting a little bit out of it, and he's letting the things get to him. The technical foul. Yeah. He doesn't have the size to match up with JV down low, at least in terms of weight. He probably gives JV 50 pounds.
There's a couple years that separate them. Man strength is definitely
And JV's just starting to get it now. Like, things are slowing down. You see in his pregame preparation with Jamal Magloire, like he's making the first move and then the counter move, and he knows that if he does a little fadeaway on the first one, he knows he can do it a little up and under on the second one. He's understanding what the defense is going to do, and he looks terrific.
And his shot fake is getting a lot more smooth. It's becoming more smooth
shot too, right?
And it's becoming more smooth because early on we were seeing him kind of hesitate to even make the shot fake, and then he'd make it. So now it's more smooth.
I know we're all Raptors fans and we're in Toronto, but we got to move on because there's lots of playoff series going on. Not a lot of good ones, but there are lots of them. Okay, let's talk about the Houston Rockets, who won 97-96 against the Golden State Warriors, the number 1 seed, who decided to sit Steph Curry, the probable MVP, for the second straight game. Did the Warriors disrespect the Rockets by sitting a healthy Steph Curry, Meg McPeak?
I'm going to say no.
No?
I mean, you want Steph Curry in the game, yes. But do you want him in the Western Conference Finals and in the NBA Finals?
Is it that bad of an injury?
I would rather rest him. With the way his ankles have been his entire career, you don't want to take a risk at him playing and retweaking it.
Guys, but isn't that the traditional reputation come playoff time? If it's the playoffs and you can play, you should play. But this team doesn't seem to have that ethos.
Right, but why? What's disrespectful to a team that's just simply not good enough? Why do you get offended if you're not good? Be better.
I mean,
be better.
The game. It's disrespecting the game because simply put, this. Listen, guys, I wish Dan Glam was here because people have been talking confidently about a sweep in this series. Yes. You just let them in the series.
It's a 5-game sweep.
No, you got
essentially.
What's a 5-game sweep?
You
know what
one
I mean?
game.
Like, Houston has no chance.
You can't give nobody anything. With guys like Mike Beasley on the bench, Josh Smith, guys who can fill it up. Anything can happen in the playoffs. If you give guys confidence,
not with Houston.
It's a tough one. With that bearded guy, he can put some numbers up.
I'm with Twee on this, and you got to watch your mouth, man. This is a teammate of James Harden in college. You check yourself, bro.
Hey, I'm with James Harden, but did you see when he made that shot, the bench reacts? There's no reaction.
No reaction.
Dwight Howard's like, what are we doing?
All right, all right. That's a great point, Randy. But we got to go to break because we got more to break down. Listen. You want to talk about the Harden horrible reaction after his jumper? Let's check it out as we go to break here on the Hangout. James Harden. Reggie Miller thinks it was a push-off. There was no push-off. Great step back, Jimmy. But unfortunately, no one on the Rockets bench cared. We'll be back with more Hangout!